Hello, hello, hello. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to get here. I've got an elusive quote as the headline on this, on purpose, I might add. I don't think Facebook is going to let me add people. Whoever's here, tell me hello so I can say hi back. Give me some emojis, let me know what's going on. And if you're catching the replay, hit that in the comments too and let me know. We have a lot to talk about today. I've been gone for so long. There's so much to catch up on. Let's see. I don't know if I'm getting comments on this thing or not. We're talking about risk today. We're talking about fear. We're talking about dreams. We're talking about goals and simple decisions that you can make at any time. Kind of an important concept. Just a little bit. PSA, don't smoke as I relight my cigarette. Nice. Does anybody know who Sugar is? The quote at the top of this live stream. It's an obscure website that isn't all that popular anymore. But her identity is big. Once I tell you who it is and what it's about, you're going to go, oh my God, I didn't know she did that. It's radical. Radical, radical. Say hello if you're here. Let me know who's on. Give me some love. Sometimes live stream doesn't let me see comments. So I'm going to go to my laptop. Yeah, I can see that you guys are here, but I have no idea who it is. Hey, Rana. Talking to Bethany. Well, both of you should be on here. Hey, Joe. How are you? Let's wait a couple more minutes for more people to join us. It's going to be a good one today. I have a good feeling about this live stream. Does anybody know who Sugar is? I'm showing my online age. Hey, Valerie. What's hot, Joe? What's hot? The live stream? It's going to be. Tag people. Let them know we're live. This doesn't let me... Sometimes... Hey, Diane. Sometimes when I do these live streams, I can go right on. I can invite people. I can see comments. Everything works. And it's like total boss mode. And sometimes I go on and I can't do any of those things. It's like the buttons are just gone. I don't know if Facebook is changing algorithms every day now or what's happening, but whatever. Who knows who Sugar is? The author of the quote that I've put above this live stream. Be brave enough to break your own heart. Does anybody know who that is? Oh, it's cutting off, Valerie. The quote is, be brave enough to break your own heart. The author is Sugar. Does anybody know who that is? I am aging myself. I am dating myself. There was this really popular, really popular website and a column within said website that that quote came from. So the website was The Rumpus, and it was for authors and writers and creatives all over the world. It was run by Steve Elliott, who's the author of Happy Baby, among other things. Very talented guy. He's also the author of the Adderall Diaries. I don't know if you've read that. But he ran that website with Isaac Fitzgerald, who now works at, I want to say Book Baby, but it's not Book Baby. It's bigger than that. He might even be the books editor for Buffer. Hey, Catherine. And they had a columnist. And the column was called Dear Sugar. And nobody knew who Sugar was unless you were on the inside. And every week, people would send in questions. And she would come back with these amazing advice columns. I mean, no joke. The writing would like knock your socks off. So deep, so on point, so profound. It grew and grew and grew organically. It grew so big that people became obsessed with finding out who Sugar was. And people like Alyssa Batiste would write in, and it was a big deal. It's like every week we wanted to read Sugar's new column. So, pulling in my chair. Eventually, as the years went by, it was discovered that Sugar, she finally revealed herself, was Cheryl Strayed. And right after she revealed herself, she then went and wrote her New York Times bestselling book called Wild, right? So the column that quote comes from, which is "Be brave enough to break your own heart," was focused more on relationships. But I always remembered that quote, and I will never forget her column because, and actually you should go and check it out. Just Google the Rumpus, Dear Sugar. Read it, read all of them, they'll blow your mind. She was talking about relationships in that sense, but I hung on to that quote, and I have it on my bulletin board in my office because it's a reminder to me that we get to decide how things may or may not affect us, how we wish to interpret them, and what we want our response to be, right? Which leads nicely into the whole Jack Canfield equation of E plus R equals O, events plus response equals outcome. How you interpret something, how you choose to allow it to land, has a direct impact on the outcome of the situation, right? You don't have to get upset about something. You can choose to be happy. You can choose to blow it off. It's a really great concept. So in this case, be brave enough to break your own heart. I would like you to interpret that in terms of risk and growth and belief and chasing dreams and doing what you want. Be brave enough to break your own heart. Be brave enough to take the risk. Be brave enough to believe in yourself. Be brave enough to think that you can absolutely do the thing that is scary, right? Be brave enough to go after the things that your gut and your heart and your body are screaming at you to go after. Be brave enough to break your own heart. I just find that to be genius. Cheryl Strayed is brilliant anyway. So if you're hopping on late, it's the Rumpus, and the column is called Dear Sugar. I believe the site is still live. I don't know that it's still active, but it was wildly popular back in the days when I was first beginning as an online entrepreneur. So the reason that people in general have difficulty taking risks, the reason that women specifically have trouble believing in themselves or going after their dream, is largely about the fear of what will happen if I don't make it. And so it's a normal part of human biology, I think, and some neuroscientists can probably hop on here and tell me if I have it wrong, but my understanding is our subconscious's job is to keep us safe, which means staying in a familiar place, which means anything that is unfamiliar or uncomfortable makes your subconscious scream at you, oh my God, don't do that, terrible danger. We're afraid to fail because our subconscious interprets that as potential death, right? We're afraid to believe in ourselves because if it doesn't work out, our subconscious says, oh my God, that would be an absolute travesty. We're afraid to take the risk and go after what we want because what will happen if we don't make it? How will we interpret that? How will our friends and family interpret that? They'll judge us, they'll criticize us, and your subconscious thinks that that truly is like death. Logically, intellectually, we all know that it's not, right? But if you're not aware of how you're thinking or your subconscious role, what your subconscious's role is, it's really easy to get tripped up. It's really easy to get uncomfortable and then slam on the brakes and say, I can't do that. I just can't. And you can't make me. And so we continue to dream and we continue to think about these goals and we say, well, I'll try it this way. And then it gets uncomfortable again and your subconscious goes, whoa, no, slam on the brakes. But hey, Khaloud. Hi, Chris. So it's not that we are actively trying to sabotage ourselves. This is shit that just happens on a subconscious level that we're not even aware of. It's just the way that our body chemicals work, right? Synapses are firing and neurons are going, and we don't know, unless you've actually had this conversation, that what is happening internally is what is creating your external reality. Lisa says, I need to hear this again and again and again. It's such a powerful conversation, isn't it? So we're talking about Dear Sugar on the Rumpus, and her one of her quotes that's one of my favorites, which is be brave enough to break your own heart. And in this case, I'm using it as an example of Be brave enough to take the risk. Be brave enough to believe in yourself. So the reality is, your subconscious relates a failure or potential judgment and criticism to death. It is as painful and as horrifying as potential death. But your conscious knows better. So if your subconscious does actually control your behavior. We sort of move through life, we don't even think about it. We get up, brush our teeth, we make coffee, we start thinking about the things we got to do that day, maybe we go put on the computer. All of this shit happens without any conscious thought. It's just autopilot. Well, the same goes for your everyday behaviors with everything else. You have plans, you have goals, you have dreams, but if you're not thinking about the things that need to take place, your subconscious is going to just keep going on autopilot because it's all that it knows. Your conscious makes decisions, your subconscious controls behavior. And it's really important that you guys understand that, because so often we have these ideas and these dreams and these big goals, and the days go by and the weeks go by and sometimes even the years go by and we're no closer. And instead of evaluating how that happened or what we could do differently, we just go right into judgment and we start beating on ourselves. And that actually makes it worse. How inspired would somebody in your life be, even your kid, to learn to ride a bike if you were telling him how stupid he was or how lazy he was or whatever it is that you're telling yourself about not pursuing your goal, right? It doesn't work. Self-criticism and judgment doesn't work either. So be brave enough to break your own heart. Be brave enough to take the risk. Be brave enough to understand that even if you fail, not only will you have learned something that you couldn't learn in any other way, you will have had experiences that get you closer to your goal that you can't have in any other way. So I'm going to give you a little exercise to sort of jam through this a little bit and play with it. And I think, Lisa, you'll like this. So start with fear. Pick one goal. Maybe you want to be a millionaire. Hey, Bethany. Pick one goal. Catherine says, I finally followed a dream and I'm in Italy by myself right now. Well done. Good job. Good job. See, you made it. So let's take one goal, whatever it might be, and then let's write down every fear we have about that goal. It could be not achieving it and self-judgment and criticism. It could be achieving it and not being able to handle it. It could be achieving it and feeling lonely because you don't know anybody else who's achieved that. It could be fear of judgment from friends. You won't be connected with family anymore. Whatever your fears are. It could be fear about the process of getting there. We get caught up in the I don't know how. Whatever all of those fears are, don't judge them. Just write them all down. Make a list. And then next to each fear, write down how it has stopped you up until now. So if fear of criticism and judgment is one, how has it stopped you up until now? Well, in that instance, you will have prioritized the fear of judgment over your desire to have the dream. That's how it stopped you. If one of your fears is that you can't handle it, how has it stopped you up until now? Well, you haven't probably taken the time to understand what it would take in order to achieve it and look at the steps necessary and actually break it down. Because when people do that, they get a sense of, it's really not that overwhelming, I'm just making it bigger than it is in my head. So write all your fears, write down next to each one, how has it stopped me up until now? And then once you've done that, this is a pretty exhaustive exercise. I mean, you should take some time on this. It's not a quick hit 15 minutes. Really, really take the time to examine every fear that you have and how specifically it has stopped you. The third step is to decide, are you going to make a commitment to yourself that from here forward you will choose to evaluate those fears and see if they are true or if they're just made up shit in your head? Or are you just going to commit to allowing the fear to take over? And there's no good or bad answer here. There's no right or wrong. You truly get to choose. Most people look at this stuff and they realize what they've been doing to themselves and they go, I'm totally committed to not letting the fear take over. And then the real work begins. But you actually have to do this and set the commitment and the intention for yourself, right? We don't just skate through without planning because shit gets real. Your subconscious plays games on you and you start to get overwhelmed and you're uncomfortable and you're nervous and you're anxious and you don't know why, well, it's because you have all these crazy fears running through your mind that may or may not even be rational, but since you haven't taken the time to examine them, you don't know that yet. So that's step 3. And then the 4th step, I use the 4th step in this exercise, but I also use it in other areas of my coaching. Once you've done all this, and then you've made the commitment to yourself about how you choose to move forward, the last step is to go on what I call a rampage of appreciation. And what that looks like for me is being thankful for every fear that I have, because it was my subconscious protecting me and I need to love myself and appreciate myself. Being thankful for the decision to commit to myself and my goals and my dreams from here forward. Being thankful for the process. Being thankful for everything in my life as it is right now. Appreciating everything around me. And so what happens is, the way that I set this up is, we dive into the fear. We look at how the fear has limited us. Most people look at those fears and how they've limited themselves, and they start to feel down and they start to criticize themselves. Then we say, no, okay, I'm going to make a commitment to myself from here forward. I'm going to do things differently. And then the last step is the rampage of appreciation. And the reason I leave it with the rampage is that's the high note, right? So go into the fear, get down and dirty with it, dig it up, examine it, look at what's true and what isn't, evaluate how it has stopped you, decide it's not going to stop you that way anymore, and then bolster yourself up with the rampage of appreciation. Feel good. When you feel good, you do things on your own behalf. If you get stuck with the fear and the criticism of yourself and the judgment of yourself, you don't feel good. And if you don't feel good, you're definitely not inspired to take action on your own behalf, right? Thoughts produce feelings, which produce action or inaction, depending on how you're talking to yourself. So dive into your fear. How has it stopped you up until now? What is your commitment from here moving forward? And then go on a rampage of appreciation. And, you know, again, the quote at the top of this, be brave enough to break your own heart. Be brave enough to take that risk and give it everything that you've got. You will never regret it. Even if you don't achieve it, even if you come in way down here when your goal was up here, you will have gotten so much further than you ever would have without taking that risk, right? It's so easy to sit on your hands and complain or wonder or worry. It takes guts to go after what you want. And the only way you're going to find out whether or not you can make it is if you have the guts to fucking try. So that is the gauntlet I am throwing down at you today. I hope that you dive into this exercise. It's really revealing, and I think that you will find it insightful, to say the least. And let me know what you come up with, right? Like, hit me with your fears. Tell me what your commitment is for yourself moving forward. This is the kind of work that I do with my clients every single day. This is the stuff that changes your capacity to receive. And not just to receive money, but to receive compliments, to receive affection, to receive abundance in any form. You've got to take stock of what you're doing to yourself, what frequency you're vibrating at, how you feel, and how you're creating those feelings, right? Because it's all inside you. It's an internal game. It's not about what's happening around you. What's happening around you has nothing to do with it. How you respond to it is everything. And I really like this, so I hope that you guys dive into it and get the results that I want you to have. No matter what, even if you only did it a little bit, you're going to get really profound answers. And that's what it's after. That's what it's about. Okay, that's all I've got for you today. As you can see, I'm back home. I'm in my bathrobe, post-retreat. Life is good. If you have questions about how to do this, if you get stuck on a piece of it, hit me in the comments. Let me know how this works out for you. I think that you will fucking love it. I know that my clients have done this in the past and gotten some really, really amazing responses from their gut. So let's dive in and get it done, and let me know how you go. Okay? Okay.